What is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? I was in high school and we had a prize-giving ceremony during school assembly. My name gets unexpectedly called out, so I make my way to the front of the hall to collect my prize. I'm almost at the front when I have a sudden crisis of confidence and think that I must have misheard them and there is no way they called my name. So I turn around, walk back to my chair and sit back down. My friends are looking at me and ask me what I'm doing, and tell me to get back up there to collect my prize. So I get back up, walk all the way up to the front and then have another crisis of confidence and think that my friends must have been messing with me. So I turn around and walk back to my chair and sit back down. The hall is silent and the teachers are on stage looking at me like I just landed from another planet. Oh god, this sent shivers down my spine. I remember getting called down for those little award ceremonies in elementary and middle school, and I always had the worst anxiety about just walking up there. I got second-hand embarrassment just reading this. It's bad, but I'm over here thinking it would be 100 times worse had it really been someone else. To walk up there and have to realize it was meant for another person. Double worse if you were super excited. I ran cross-country in high school. I would lead stretchers, meaning that both the boys and girls teams were circled around me. A buddy came up and pants me and grabbed too many layers. At least the girls team got the rear end and the guys got the front. I don't think I've ever been truly embarrassed since. Imagine if you were facing the other way. Could have been much more embarrassing. He was probably soft though. Easily the time I was breakdancing in drama class in grade 11 and kicked a girl in the face. Did a front flip and kicked the most popular girl in the face in the middle of a huge dance circle in 8th grade. But did you land that sick flip? I myself on my 13th birthday coming home from Red Lobster. Haven't set foot in one since, not gonna risk it again. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes and the wonderful pants shitting stories. Sometimes happens. D. You're missing out on those Cheddar Bay biscuits, my friend. They can always buy the mix at the store and make their own. I had a bacchanal buffet at Caesars on my last day in Vegas on one of my yearly trips. I was fine until I got on the plane. I had to so bad and it was going to be diarrhea. However, we were racing a storm, so the flight attendants asked everyone to remain seated so we could leave. I begrudgingly agreed with my insides on fire. 25 minutes after sitting waiting to take off, they announced we'd have to taxi back and go from the opposite direction for a wind shift. It was another 30-minute delay. Then we finally get into the air and fly right into the storm, monsieur. It was turbulent and would last another 10 minutes. The seatbelt sign was on, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Finally went to go. I exploded as soon as I got in there. Everyone in the back of the plane could smell it when I opened the door. One guy even called me out on it. Oh well, my fault for eating oysters on a buffet. I too have an embarrassing plane story. On a 15-hour red-eye flight to Taiwan, I was sitting in the window seat with my husband in the middle and a stranger in the aisle. Towards the middle of the flight, I had horrible stomach pain, sweats, etc. Everyone was asleep. I had to wake up my husband and our stranger seat partner so I could get up to go to the bathroom, which was already bad enough. Once there, I released whatever that was causing me so much discomfort. It did not smell good and it got stuck to the inside of the bowl. Wouldn't flush down. I dreaded walking out to a line and knowing the next person would know. But what luck. No line. I thought I was safe, until I got back to my seat and my stranger's seat partner got up and went to the same toilet. I wanted to die. My only consolation is that we didn't speak the same language, so I wouldn't be able to understand him talk about my. Unless you were in first class, there's no way to be certain he went to the same toilet. Planes that large have several, and if you were in first class, him and everyone else on the plane too, it's your toilet. Demolish it as you wish. When I was like 5, I shouted at my sister, "You're an idiot, idiot." 21 years later I've yet to live it down. Like Auntie Homer. I am so smart, SMRT. My friend and I make a joke when someone stupid says something. We imitate him and say, "You're dumb." Dumb. I was waiting for a friend to arrive at my home. Said friend was having a severe cold, so when the doorbell rang, I ran to open the door and jokingly pulled my shirt up so it would cover my nose and mouth to prevent infection. I pulled a little too high, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is how I opened the door to a baffled salesman with my hanging out. He blushed. I blushed. We stared at each other for a second before I closed the door and hid in the darkest corner of my house. The best part of this story is that the salesman has a similar story but with no explanation. He'll always wonder what the heck that was about, but he'll never know. In 8th grade, one had a teacher, Mr. John. He was 6'3", had to be over 400 pounds and had a lazy eye. Mr. Jean was known for having bottles and bottles of Febreze in his room, monsieur. Whenever he would smell a student stinking, he would stand up out of his chair, go from aisle to aisle sniffing kids and spraying a cloud of mist over the kid that thought he smelled foul. I had forgot to wear deodorant one day and I was lucky enough to be rained in the freshness. And GT. He was 6'3", had to be over 400 pounds and had a lazy eye. By the way, Detective J.J. Bittenbinder wore three-piece suits. He also wore a pocket watch. 2 years in a row, he wore a cowboy hat. He also had a huge handlebar mustache. None of that matters, but it's important to me that you know that. Street smarts. I was working at a skating rink as a DJ and amp used to throw on my skates to mingle with customers. One of my skate moves was to drop down into the splits and pull myself back up like Michael Jackson's Bad music video. One evening, a regular rink rat child asked me to do the splits. I obliged him, dropped down into the splits position. However, this time I didn't come back. Fast forward to having my pants cut off by EMT and being given morphine on the skate floor before being taken to the hospital. I had dislocated my patella. The story doesn't stop there because the skating rink's GM stopped into the hospital to check on me, and I found it slightly odd that he rotated awkwardly from across the open space in the room to around the bed, cutting through the medical machines and cables to stand against the gap in the wall to talk to me. By my head being doped up, I did not realize at the time that my patient gown was thrown open and he saw all of my business. TLDR, I did the splits on purpose on roller skates and dislocated my kneecap while on the clock. Boss might have seen my junk. I laughed out loud 2 times reading this. In fact, I am still laughing. Does it make it sound cool if I call it a sports injury? Farted very loldy on Valentine's Day in 4th grade. This happened to me as a preteen while it was my turn to jump on a trampoline while all the other kids my age watched, and I tried to pretend it wasn't happening but jump. But did it give you extra jump height? No idea if this is also the case in other countries, but here all shopping carts require a 50-cent or €1 coin to be put in for use. As a kid, whenever I would go shopping with my mom, I would return strayed or lost carts and keep a coin. One day I was with my mom in a huge hardware store. I saw a cart in the store, filled with all kinds of stuff. But my kid logic told me, OWH, it's probably from an employee restocking stuff. They wouldn't mind if I were to take it, right? So here I am emptying that cart. Planks, cans, the whole lot. I return the cart, collect the 50 cents and go to the kid corner to watch some TV or something. Here comes an employee joined by a very displeased older lady. She starts screaming at me, borderline crying about how mean I am and anything. Then she walks away. I did not dare to go into that store for years after, in fear of her or the employee recognizing me. Doesn't matter, you got 50 cents. Get rich or die trying. I once had diarrhea in the middle of class in 3rd grade. I was smart enough to wait until everyone left to recess and asked to go to the school nurse before anyone found out, but that memory still haunts me to this day. My classmate during 3rd grade and middle of class too, except everyone could smell it. We were confused. Once we learned it was my classmate, the teacher asked for one male kid to accompany him to the washroom, and another to the school office to bring a new pair of short and undergarment. Once they left, the teacher asked us to refrain from harassing him if he comes back and show some concerns. He comes back to class with the dirty set in plastic outside. Everyone was nice to him as the teacher observed our behavior. He still had the same friends. Everyone moved on from it. That was an extremely good teacher you had, mate. I farted really loud at the start of a French presentation. In your general direction. My freshman year of college there was a fire in my dorm, monsieur. I was in the shower when the alarm went off. Had to jump out, and right then, a male runs in yelling that we need to evacuate immediately. I grabbed the closest towel I could find and barely covered myself up in time for him to look over. I then had to stand outside in nothing but a towel for over 2 hours while the fire was put out, and the building was cleared. The fire was caused by some idiot microwaving tin foil. I couldn't call anyone to come get me because it was the first week of school and I hadn't made any friends who had a car yet. It was mildly frustrating. We had a few storms last semester that knocked out power for a while. Every single time it happened my friend was in the shower. In high school I was having these messed up periods that were extremely heavy to the point that blood kept leaking constantly. I was in English class and something felt wrong and I noticed a puddle of period blood underneath my chair. Then my English teacher called my name to go up and grab my assignment. Thankfully my friend went up and got it for me and also walked behind me to the bathroom, monsieur. Not all heroes wear capes, but sometimes if we leak a cape would be nice. In 4th grade one wrote that I loved my crush in my notebook a few times and my see you next Tuesday. The teacher saw that and decided to read it to the class for no reason, just to embarrass me. I still hate her to this day. She also once shamed my bad art skills by literally taking my artwork and the best artist in the class and saying, "This is how it should look and this is how it shouldn't." I'm 30 years old and if I saw her today I would punch her square in the face. Just think about what kind of miserable person you have to be to get joy out of humiliating the freaking 4th grader. Jeez. I once said, I think Friday the 13th is going to land on a Thursday. Is today Friday the 13th? Actually this Friday is the 13th. As a kid, I was left-handed, so I tried to deride this kid who was right-handed by saying, "No one writes with their right hand, you're so weird." Turns out, the whole motherfucking class was right-handed. It was so embarrassing. Are you no longer left-handed? I'm 30 and still haven't grown out of it. I got my period for the first time ever at 10 years old on school camp. No one had ever told me or educated me about it. I was scared and so embarrassed and was using loo roll to try and stop it from leaking everywhere. After a swim I had bled all over my swimming shorts. The teacher came up to me and told me that I need to sort myself out because I was making the other girls uncomfortable. I didn't know how to sort myself out. Thankfully 2 days into this nightmare a kind mother noticed what had happened and gave me some pads. But yeah, worst class camp ever. I was so embarrassed.